Today we're making spaghetti bolognese. I bought some Garden Delight noodles because it adds a little extra veggies to this very veggie heavy bolognese sauce. Go ahead and put that into a pot and set it to boil. I don't need to show you how to make noodles. I mean, come on. It's just noodles. The bolognese, that's the sauce that you need to learn how to make. So the first ingredient we're going to grab is some ground chuck, 80% lean and 20% fat. I wouldn't recommend getting anything fattier than that because we are going to use some bacon later on. So let's go ahead and get it out of its casing and just plop it down in the bowl right there. Next thing you want to do, bring out a grater because we're going to grate our vegetables down real fine. Some people chop up their vegetables for spaghetti bolognese, but I like it to be some hidden vegetables for people to eat. So we're going to grate down one zucchini. Cut the top half off here. Next ingredient up, I'm going to grab me some carrots. I'm going to go ahead and grate down these carrots down as well. You can use frozen carrots and just use the cubed frozen carrots if you choose to. Just know that frozen carrots will add extra water, which means you have to simmer it even longer. This bolognese sauce should simmer for an hour to an hour and a half. So adding the cubed iced over carrots from the frozen food section could increase how long you have to cook it by at least a half an hour. Next item that we're going to be getting is an onion. Now I know onions can make people cry, so I'm going to give you a little technique here. If you cut off the back end here and just slide the knife down and just pull off the outer skin, you'll find that you don't cry as easily. It also helps if you leave it in the refrigerator, because all the gases that the onion expels is located right there in the root that I just cut out. And when you keep it in the refrigerator, it actually pulls all the gases in, so that when you start grating down your onion, you just don't start break down crying. I know some people, they can cut onions all day long and nothing happens to them, but for me, I just can't do it. So I normally leave it in the fridge for about 30 minutes or overnight, and I find that really does the trick for me. So what you got to do is just keep just dragging it across the grater there. The onions are translucent and it's going to be very thin. So the reason for cutting it down this fine is that it will blend into the meaty sauce. So if you have anybody that's a family member that's not a fan of onions, this is a way to sneak an onion in there to give it that nice taste without using any of the onion spice, which I find does not capture the flavor properly. Now, if you're like me, you want to clean it off, but you might end up having a little hunk there and you don't want to lose a finger. So in order to not lose a finger, we're going to use the knife and I'm just going to chop it into some big chunks. Like I said, it's going to cook down for about an hour to an hour and a half. So having these big chunks, it might seem like it's going to be like these huge pieces of onion waiting for somebody to bite into. But I promise, after an hour and a half, they're going to be so soft and so translucent. Next ingredient up is going to be some garlic. Now I have the pre-minced garlic. I love using it because you can just spoon it in there and don't have to worry about cutting up garlic, and it stays fresher longer. If you're going to use actual fresh garlic, it's going to be 2 cloves of garlic or 2 tablespoons of the regular garlic. All right, next up, we're going to use some tomato paste, Italian style. You can use regular tomato paste, but I prefer the Italian style because it already has the basil and the oregano already cooked into it, and it's going to add that extra flavor to the bolognese sauce. Some people prefer using regular tomato paste and just adding the oregano and adding the basil. Just all depends what you want to do. If you want a fresher flavor, you can by all means use fresh herbs, but this is a meal prep novice, so I'm just going to try to do it the easiest way possible. Just find yourself a nice little spoon and just spoon out the entire contents of the small can. Should be no more than 6 to 8 ounces. I've been able to get by with as little as 6, but like I've been saying, it's going to boil down after you simmer it, so even if you have 8 ounces, it's not a bad deal. Up is the whole tomatoes. I got a 28 ounce can. These are normally called whole tomatoes or plum tomato, and you want to get them in the juice. I had to put on my gloves because we're about to get messy. Make sure you take off the lid, and like I said, do not drain the juices. Now, some people at this point will add whole milk. Some will add cans of water. But I'm going to put in some tawny port because I like the taste of it. It makes it nice and sweet. and it blends well with the meat. I'm going to put 1/4 cup. We're going to go ahead and massage that meat, and we want to smash up some of those tomatoes and just blend it up real good. You want to make sure that everything just blends in that bowl, because once we're done here, we have to heat up the olive oil and the second part of the bolognese sauce. So you want to make sure you get any of those big pieces of onion and separate them so that they're individual slivers, not huge hunks. You want to make sure you smash up those tomatoes so it boils easier. And now that it's done, it should look similar to this. So let's go ahead and move over to the oven. What we're going to do is put in some olive oil, about 1/4 cup of olive oil. You want to coat the bottom and then a little bit more past that, because we're going to use this to heat up our next ingredient. Go ahead and chopped up about 3 pieces of bacon, and you're just going to sprinkle it there into the olive oil mix. Now don't worry if it doesn't cook all the way through. What you're doing right now is just seasoning the olive oil with the bacon flavor. And the bake up, I'm going to add some rosemary leaves, and you're going to put in about 1/2 tablespoon worth of rosemary leaves. After it comes to a boil, you're going to start throwing in the bolognese. After you slide all that into the bowl, got your heat going there. You're going to make sure to stir this every 5 to 10 minutes for an hour to an hour and a half. And you're going to top it all off with about 2 to 3 bay leaves, depending on how you want to do it. But make sure you stir it every 5 to 10 minutes, because you don't want to burn the sauce. With the bolognese sauce done, I'm going to throw some of the noodles into the container, and I'm going to spoon off this bolognese sauce on top of there, and this is what it should look like, the finished product. As you can see, you can't see the onions, the zucchini and the carrot just blend in very perfectly, very nicely. And you want to top it all off with some Italian cheese. Some people will just buy regular Parmesan cheese. I just like the Italian cheese just because it's just got more different flavors to it. This recipe right here should yield you anywhere between 4 to 6 meal prep bowls, depending on how many noodles you want to use and how much sauce you want to put in. Some people like extra sauce, and you probably get around 4. And if you want to go light on the sauce, you can probably get by with 6. Well, that's it. Your spaghetti bolognese. Enjoy.